You just thought, in spite of all of Roman Reigns' victories and how dominant he's been, it just felt like Cody Rhodes, he had that chance. It felt like he was going to ultimately do it. And you just felt, oh my God, this is it. But then Roman Reigns hits the spear and he pins Cody Rhodes. That one moment completely, it almost felt like the entire WrestleMania event was ruined. You dropped the ball, WWE. And if I'm being honest, by making this decision, you've somewhat made me lose faith in you.
Faith restored. Hello Starbearers, this is GeoStar7, and today I'd like to talk to you about WrestleMania 40, WrestleMania XL, because last night WWE corrected perhaps one of their biggest mistakes from last year. Now, I have a lot to say about the main event and so much else, but I would be remiss if I did not talk about the rest of this show over both nights and just say just how incredible the whole experience was. So, without further ado, let's get into my review of WrestleMania 40. So, this year's WrestleMania took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They always try to make the sets very grand and epic, and I'm not sure if this year's WrestleMania set was like as grand as last year's, because they had the big marquee to like go with the whole Goes Hollywood and the movies sort of thing. But yeah, it's pretty good what they did. They just had this large X and this large L on the front of the stage, and they did really make very good use of it for graphics and everything. Strangely enough, neither night began with a rendition of America the Beautiful, which is usually traditional at WrestleMania. Instead, there were two other songs, and which were, America themed, but still, it's still a bit weird that they broke that tradition. And on both nights, it was for night one, it was Triple H who came out and welcomed everyone to the show. The second night, it was his wife Stephanie. And another interesting thing to note is that they also had a brand new Then, Now, Forever logo, which WWE plays at the beginning of any one of their shows. What I really have to say about this, especially about this whole show, is that it felt like the beginning of a brand new era for WWE. Because this is the first WrestleMania where Triple H has been had full creative control. Like, he decided who went into the Hall of Fame this year. He decided the matches that were going to be on the card of WrestleMania, and even with how he's being presented now, like he's more often he's being referred to as Paul Triple H Levesque. Like they're acknowledging his real name, and everyone's saying like this is the start of the Paul Levesque era. And like I say, I'm inclined to agree with that. But anyway, let's really get on with talking about the matches. So night one opened with the Women's World Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. A very standard match, and I didn't really mind who won this. I don't mind that Rhea Ripley won. Like, she has held the title for over a year, and usually I'm not always a big fan of long, lengthy reigns, but I think considering what happened throughout the rest of WrestleMania, I think it's perfectly fine that she retains the title. And Becky's already proven just how great she is, and yeah, it's just a really standard great match there. But one thing that's really worth noting about this is that they managed to put on an incredible match in spite of the fact that Becky Lynch was apparently very sick throughout the week leading up to WrestleMania. She at one point had a 102-degree fever. She wasn't able to train as much, and apparently even Rhea Ripley had some kind of injury going on with her. But despite that, they still managed to go through with it and put on an amazing performance, like the women of WWE really can. So the next match was one that I was really looking forward to. It was the 6-pack ladder match, and in this match there were 6 teams of 2, all competing for the Unified Tag Team Championships. I was really looking forward to this because there has never been a ladder match where there's been 12 people all vying for the prize at the same time. I think they've had 10-man Money in the Bank ladder matches. Some of the greatest ladder matches in history were either one-on-one or had as many as 6 people. But yeah, there was just anyway, there was there was 6 teams. There was New Day, New Catch Republic, Judgment Day, A-Town Down Under, DIY, and the Awesome Truth, all competing for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. And from the way they were setting this up, seemed very clear that they were finally going to be splitting up the Tag Team Championship belts into the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships, because I think they've been unified for, I think, close to 3 years now. And, as good as that is, there's talent on both Raw and SmackDown that need to be acknowledged for their tag teams, and so the stipulation was that if you pulled down one set of tag team championships, then you would become a regular tag team like for Raw or SmackDown. If you pulled down the other one as well, then you would be the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, tag team champions. But yeah, so it was, like I say, ladder matches are always incredible, and DIY actually came out dressed as Triple H and Shawn Michaels in sort of an homage to D-Generation X, because R-Truth has been constantly mistaking them for DX, and that's just something that's been happening, so I guess they sort of played into that. Judgment Day came out wearing these weird masks, which I have no idea what that's meant to be referencing. I don't know if it's anyway. I don't know, but yeah, it was an amazing match full of spots. Like at one point, R-Truth being the nut job in the head that he is, he actually at one point reached in for a tag, even though there's no tags in a tag team ladder match. Like Miz tagged him in anyway, which was just a funny spot. So at one point, A-Town Down Under, they did climb one of the ladders and retrieve the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. So that's going on to they're going to have that on SmackDown now. But there was also a different team that won the Raw Tag Team Championships, and the lead up to it was pretty wild, if I'm being honest. Like there was actually even one point where the ladder they were using, you could see at the very bottom of it that it was on the verge of collapsing because it'd been completely damaged and dented. I was so worried for the wrestlers on it, but yeah, so it did collapse and they ended up having to get another one. But yeah, in the end, Judgment Day didn't retain either of their tag belts. Like I said, A-Town Down Under, they did retrieve the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and it was The Miz and R-Truth, specifically R-Truth, who pulled down the Raw Tag Team Championships, and so now they're the Raw Tag Team Champions. So, and it's apparently the first time that R-Truth has won at WrestleMania as well, so that's good for him. It was, again, like I say, it was a really great match, one I was really looking forward to. Probably the only other real match that I was really looking forward to, other than the main event for night 2, But like I say, the rest of this card really did entertain me as well. It really won me over. So the next match was Rey Mysterio and Andrade teaming up against Dominik Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Originally Dragon Lee was meant to be in this match as Rey Mysterio's partner, but he ended up being replaced with Andrade like days before on SmackDown because Dragon Lee had been taken out. And I do feel it's a bit disappointing for Dragon Lee because Rey Mysterio actually said to him like he was the future of Lucha Libre. It would have been very great to see him on a stage like WrestleMania and teaming up with Rey Mysterio, but anyway, it is how it is. So there was this whole story going around that Escobar felt betrayed by Rey Mysterio. He felt like he turned his back on him and in favor of other people in the LWO, sorry. And then Dominik decided to stick himself into it because his dad beat him at WrestleMania last year, and now he decides to stick it to him again this year by teaming up with Santos Escobar it was father and son again, as with the addition of Andrade and Santos. Incredible tag team match. But one thing that was really interesting was actually the finish, where there were two guys from the Philadelphia Eagles who actually came in from the crowd wearing Rey Mysterio masks, and they actually helped Rey and Andrade win the match. And Pat McAfee, who was on commentary, he was really getting into it because he's associated with the NFL as well, and it's a brilliant little tag team match, and good to see Rey Mysterio still going as strong as he is, because I've been watching WrestleMania since I've been a fan of wrestling since around the time of WrestleMania 22, and for Rey to still be around 18 years later and doing what he does, it really is incredible just how long he's been able to keep doing this even after all these years. Right, so up next we had Uso versus Uso. This was Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso, and it was just like brother versus brother, really. As they kept reminding us, like, this is only the third brother versus brother match at WrestleMania. The first one was Owen versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10. There was Matt and Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania 25. And now this Jimmy and Jey Uso at WrestleMania 40. And it was the first time twins had actually competed against each other as well. And it was just really great to highlight what the Usos can do as singles competitors, because they've really proven themselves in the tag team division. Up until last year, they were the longest reigning tag team champions in history. But yeah, they've really shown us throughout this past year just how well they can actually perform as single stars as well. And Jey got the win here, and everyone's all about the yeet. Yeet, yeet. It's this whole new craze. I think he's really living up to his whole main event moniker that he's built for himself. Okay, so up next we had the 6-women tag team match. It was Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi taking on Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane of Damage Control. And this was very interesting because it was actually the first time that we'd properly seen Jade Cargill in like a proper match since joining WWE. I mean, there was her appearance in the Royal Rumble match, but this is the first time that I feel like, we really get a chance to see her skills since she moved over from AEW. And I've got to say, like, they showed real unity, did Jade, Naomi, and Bianca Belair. Like, they came out and they were, they really looked like they were a unit with how they were dressing and everything. Like, they seemed to perform well as a team, even though they've only recently come together, and Damage Control has been together for a while now. One thing I was very curious about, though, was Jade Cargill's like body paint that she had for herself. She's had like this golden streak right down the middle of her body, all the way down. Like, I'm not really sure what that was representing, but yeah. So anyway, a brilliant little match. The first time we've got a chance to properly see Jade Cargill in action inside of a proper match that isn't like a Battle Royal or a Royal Rumble or anything. And yeah, like, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with her afterwards as well. I feel like there's still so much we need to see from Jade Cargill, especially considering like how much of a star she was in AEW with her championship reigns and everything. So I'll be really looking forward to see what they have in store for her in the future. Okay, and next up we had the Intercontinental Championship match. Very, very significant match here for a number of reasons. For starters, Gunther has been reigning as Intercontinental Champion for what they said was 666 days. It is the longest Intercontinental Championship reign in history. It beat out the Honky Tonk Man, who's held that record for like decades. And it really shows, like, because Gunther, he's this big dominant guy. He's professional. He can back himself up in the ring. I mean, if last year's triple threat match with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre isn't really a demonstration of how good he is in the ring, like, I don't think anything is. But anyway, the whole story going into this is that it was Sami Zayn who was taking him on, and he won a gauntlet match to determine who would be the number one contender at WrestleMania. And even though he won this, like, there was a part of him on the inside that was having confidence issues, because he has had these great moments before. Like last year, he was competing for the Universal Championship against Roman Reigns, and it was in his home country, his hometown, and he still lost. And so he just had this whole mentality, like, what if he lets everyone down again? Like, he doesn't want to see, his wife upset. He doesn't want to see his son crying. Like, he's all of that has gotten him really shaken up inside. Like, he's really concerned about letting everyone and himself down, like, especially considering how long Gunther's held this championship and what he's done to so many other competitors beforehand. He just felt like he wasn't sure of himself, and so Chad Gable, who's also had issues with Gunther in the past, he was coaching Sami, and he was giving him like the motivation, like, you need to, we've got this, and so. And yeah, so like, and even before the match, like, there was this sequence where Sami Zayn was going through the backstage area. He was speaking to his family and everything. Chad Gable came out and he said to him, like, you've got this. You don't need me out there. You've got this. And even just before he went into the gorilla position, which is the area just behind the curtain before you go out into the arena, Kevin Owens was there, and he said, come on, you got this. You've got this, because he and Kevin have been friends for so many years, and he was just there to give him the extra bit of confidence. And so yeah, like, for most of the match, Gunther was really dominating Sami Zayn. There was at one point where Michael Cole was even saying, like if is, come on, referee, look, forget what Sammy's telling you. If he can't go, call off the match, because like everyone was just concerned for him, and it also kept cutting back to Sammy's wife who was watching on, and Gunther was just getting overconfident, saying like, yeah, I've got this, and like it was just toying around with him. But yeah, in the end, Sami Zayn was just getting his motivation back. He managed to will himself to do it. He managed to catch Gunther off guard. He hit him with the haluva kick, and finally he manages to pin him, ending his historic reign. And you know, when you think about this, it's actually I think it's the fourth time that he's held the Intercontinental Championship. But I don't think there's ever been like a bigger title win for him. Like, I mean, last year he and Kevin Owens ended the Usos' longest reigning tag team championship reign. This year he's ended the longest Intercontinental Championship reign. And you know, when you consider where he was 2 years ago, fighting Johnny Knoxville in a jackass street fight, like, and being absolutely humiliated, not just during the match, but before it and leading up to it as well. When you consider like how far he's come in the last 2 years, like it really is like an inspirational story, like a very, very good feel-good moment, like one of the better title changes that you had on this show. And so then we moved on to the main event of night one, and this was The Rock teaming up with Roman Reigns to take on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. The stipulation here was if Cody Rhodes and Seth managed to beat The Rock and Roman, then the bloodline would be banned from ringside. Like, no one would interfere in the main event of night two. If they lost, however, then it would be bloodline rules, and basically like no disqualification, no count out, there can be no rope breaks, the bloodline can interfere as much as they can. You know, it was very high stakes, like it was going to be a mammoth task if Cody and Seth did not win this match. And yeah, so it was just it was just amazing to see The Rock competing in WrestleMania again. Like, and he's really, even with his entrance, like it really played into his the final boss persona that he's built up for himself. And you know, even leading up to this match, like Rock has done incredible as a heel character. Like when they brought him back, they were considering him like being the baby face who was going to be challenging Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, but when plans changed and it was reverted to Cody Rhodes, like, you know, he built up this whole thing where he felt like Cody Rhodes was insulting like his family, and so it started getting personal, and he started to go back to his old Hollywood persona that he'd played, I think, through 2003, like, say, I'm this big Hollywood guy, huh? Shut up, it's just been revitalizing that character, and they even brought back the old music that he had when he played that Hollywood persona as well, and so yeah. Anyway, it was a lot building in. There was lot building up to this. There was very high stakes. We got to see like. They were fighting in the crowd, and at one point The Rock was saying, "Hey, don't you do this in a count out? You count us out, you're fired." He was saying that to the referee, like saying, because like Rock apparently has this power and this authority to do all these sorts of things. And to be honest, I wouldn't have minded how this match ended, if I'm being honest. All that mattered to me was the result of the main event of night two. So it got to the final moments. Like, there were some close moments where it looked like Cody and Seth were gonna be able to pull it off, but then The Rock manages to get Cody Rhodes. He hits him with the rock bottom. He does the whole people's elbow, and he pins him. And so it's going to be bloodline rules at night two of WrestleMania in the main event. And Michael Cole was just saying, like, Cody's screwed. he ain't finishing no story. Like it's over for him. Like they were really hyping up like how it seemed now that this had happened. It seemed like a lot. It was almost hopeless for Cody Rhodes to actually do this. And thinking about that, I actually think The Rock and Roman winning here, like, it was the right decision, because, you know, if as I think you know, they had to plant that seed of doubt in you that perhaps, like, if it's this bigger a challenge to overcome, like, maybe it's not going to be possible, which would make well, you know, which would just add to the build of the match. And I think they just really wanted to give a moment to Rock and Roman. Like, even if they weren't going to be fighting at WrestleMania, they would at least have this tag team win with each other, being cousins and everything. So I think it was a good a nice little gesture to them. I think, like, giving them this win here. So moving on to night 2. And this night actually opened with Drew McIntyre taking on Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, the new World Heavyweight Championship that was created just not long after WrestleMania last year. And yeah, so like the build to this was how Drew seemed to be obsessed with CM Punk since he'd come back to WWE. Like, he actually injured Punk in the Royal Rumble, which put Punk on the injured list, and so he was not able to compete at WrestleMania. It's always been Punk's dream of being the guy who headlines WrestleMania, and it seemed like he had a chance to do it this year. Like, maybe there were going to be plans where he was going to be facing Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, but you know, because of the injury, that was off the table. And he was saying, like, you know, there's always next year, and like Drew was like feeling really smug, saying I ruined your WrestleMania, and I'm happy that I did it. So it was going to be Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk was actually the guest commentator for this match. Like, he was going to be calling the action alongside Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Pat McAfee, which I think was a good call for WWE, because, like, you know, as much as people would have liked to have seen Punk compete at WrestleMania, like, he had to be involved in some way. Like, I mean, he may be injured, but his voice is still good, and, like, you know, I mean, he's the voice of the voiceless. Like, you know, he always speaks what's on his mind, and it's real, and it's just one of his better strengths. So that's good that he was on commentary. And before the match even began, as well, there was this. These two crazy entrances. Like, Drew actually came in, and he was and he was accompanied by bagpipe players, not unlike the ones that accompanied, I think, Roddy Piper at the first WrestleMania. Like, but he had the bagpipe players. He had Highlanders with swords and everything as he was making his entrance, and then Seth Rollins had an entourage of people who looked like they came straight out of a Mardi Gras parade. Like, they were all dressed up in these big flashy outfits. They were all singing his song, and then Seth came out in perhaps his one of the flashiest outfits that he has ever had. He had a great one on night 1 of WrestleMania where he tagged with Cody Rhodes and everything. Like that one was good, but this one here, my God, it might be one of his best ones yet. And the entourage of his people, they were all circling around the ring. They were high-fiving the commentators as they were going round, and then the match began, and it almost looked like Drew was going to get a very quick win. He hit Seth with the Claymore kick out of nowhere and went for the pin. But no, it wasn't a Daniel Bryan moment where he lost in 18 seconds or something. No, Seth did kick out, and so they went at it and everything, and to be honest, like much like the opening to WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania Night 1. I didn't mind who won this match between Drew and Seth, because Seth has held the championship since it was created. He's had an incredible run, and he has brought a lot of, I think, prestige to that championship. But I did feel like it was time for a new champion to hold it and to carry on its legacy, and that's what happened here. Drew got the Claymore kick, and he actually beat Seth Rollins. And if you really think about the context, it really was a great moment for Drew. Like, even though he was the heel here, even though he was the bad guy character, you have to keep in mind this is the first time that Drew has ever won a world championship in front of a live audience. If you think back to 2020 when he beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 36 for the championship, it was done with no fans in attendance because obviously COVID-19 was happening. It was too dangerous for large groups of fans to attend events, and even his second reign, he won it, I think, in the Thunderdome with all the LED screens and everything. He had his chance to win the championship, I think, at WrestleMania 37 in front of a live audience, but he wasn't able to do it. And so they just really wanted to just give him, the moment that he has not earned, but in his words, he deserves. And you could even see it, like, he was getting really emotional when he actually had the championship, and I think he went over to see, I think his wife was there in the front row, and he celebrated, and it was just a really good moment for him to really just have that moment, and in front of a live audience, and at WrestleMania of all places as well. But then his ego got the better of him. He decided to go over to CM Punk, who was still at the commentary table, and he's decided to get in his face saying, like, hey, this is my moment. It's like, yeah, I know it's your moment. Like, yeah. What do you think about that? I've got this, something that you never was able to. Oh, huh? Okay? And like he made it clear that their business wasn't finished. And at that point, CM Punk had had enough. He tripped him over, and he started attacking him with the brace that he had, on his arm. And he hit Drew with it, and then I never expected this, but then Judgment Day's music hit, and Damian Priest came out with the Money in the Bank briefcase, with the contract that he can use to cash in for a world championship against anyone at any time. And yes, at that very moment, he decided to cash in on Drew McIntyre. He hit him with his finishing move, and he actually beat Drew McIntyre. So within 5 minutes of winning the World Heavyweight Championship, he lost it to Damian Priest, and now Damian Priest is the new World Heavyweight Champion. And I just thought that was a really good decision. Like, it's only the second time the Money in the Bank contract has been cashed in at WrestleMania. The first time was Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31, and yeah, like, it really adds to the story as well, because like Drew was letting his ego get the best of him, and it's actually kind of his fault that he lost the championship so quickly, and at the same time as well, it actually eliminated one of the concerns that I had going into the main event of WrestleMania of Night 2, because now that Damian Priest has cashed in his Money in the Bank on Drew McIntyre, and he's now the World Heavyweight Champion, it means that he won't cash in during the WWE Universal Championship match, which that was always a fear that I had. Like, would WWE go that far and ruin that moment for us? But no, they managed to do it in a way where it was a satisfying result with Damian Priest's cash in, and I think that was really That was really good. Like, Judgment Day hadn't had the best success. Like, only Rhea Ripley had won by that point. But yeah, now Damian Priest is the World Heavyweight Champion, which I think is really adds credibility to the group. And it's going to be very interesting to see where they take that story now that Damian Priest is the World Heavyweight Champion. Up next, we had the 6-man Philadelphia street fight. This was between the Authors of Pain and Karrion Kross and the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. I think really this is because like they were in Philadelphia, which is the original home of ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and just to really represent that, like I said, it was a street fight, and on top of that, Bubba Ray Dudley was the special guest referee. So yeah, like he's been really associated with ECW, and like I think they were really trying to emphasize, like, pay tribute to the nostalgia of ECW there. And strangely, Snoop Dogg was on commentary for this match. I mean, I would have thought it would have made more sense if maybe someone like I could understand if not Paul Heyman, because he had other commitments later in the night, but couldn't they have gotten someone like, I don't know, Joey Styles to come back for one night? I mean, wouldn't that have added to it a little bit more? But I don't know. But anyway, like it didn't. Like I said, this was a very fast-paced match. It didn't take long for them to start bringing out kendo sticks and tables and everything. And to his credit, Bubba Ray Dudley did call it down the middle for the majority of it. But then Karrion Kross started getting in his face, and he started intimidating, started shoving him. At which point, Devon got out. Bubba Ray got out his glasses, and he started siding with the Street Profits, like he was calling spots, like saying, and they did that whole Dudley Boy spot that they used to do with the whole. They spread the legs out. One of the competitors goes up to the top rope, and they go, "What's up?" And they did the whole headbutt to the groin thing, and then of course, because since this is Bubba Ray Dudley, they all started shoving each other like 3, 2, 1, get the table! And so they had to do a table spot and everything. But funny enough, when they actually got the table, the one that they got actually broke a bit early, so they had to throw it out and get another one in. But they still managed to do the table spot, and yeah, like I say, it's always good to have these street fights or these extreme matches at WrestleMania, and the fact that this was in Philadelphia, like I said, and paying tribute to ECW, was really good. And another thing to note is that AOP, Karrion Kross, Scarlett, and Paul Ellering, like the Final Testament, I think it was really good for them to have this match, because it was one of the last matches that was added to the card, and it was, I think, really special for them because it was the first time that anyone in the Final Testament had ever made an appearance at WrestleMania, including Paul Ellering. Like, all the times when he was the Legion of Doom's manager, like, he had never managed them at WrestleMania. So I think that was a really nice little thing here. Anyway, so the next match was LA Knight versus AJ Styles, and the story behind this one was that AJ Styles was getting tired of LA Knight's shtick, if you know what I mean, like because LA Knight has really risen very fast as a superstar. Like, everyone is behind him. They're behind the and AJ Styles is like he's had enough of him and actually walking around like he owns the place, and so he cost LA Knight an opportunity at Elimination Chamber in Perth. There was even a point where LA Knight met AJ Styles at his home and they started beating them up and even the cops were called apparently. They even had this whole dash cam thing going on. It was crazy, but yeah, the match itself was between them was pretty good. Like AJ Styles has got new entrance music, like, and he didn't wait long to start going after LA Knight. Like the announcer hadn't even finished saying his name before they started getting into it. But yeah, like LA. I mean, a great match, and in the end, LA Knight came out as the victor. Like it's his first win at WrestleMania, and yeah, it's really good. And I think really a part of this match was kind of overshadowed by the whole Slim Jim promotion, and that's the thing I didn't mention before. Like, so I think practically almost every match at WrestleMania was promoting a product of some kind. Like, you know, I mean, I understand, like, you know, WWE has all these sponsorship deals but you know, it can be a bit distracting. Like, I mean, this is meant to be about wrestling, and you know, kind of the promotion kind of overshadows it in some capacity. I mean, we all remember the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match at last year's Royal Rumble. But yeah, like I was saying back with the promotion and everything, like this match had Slim Jim all over it. Like there was a group of people representing Slim Jim. LA Knight apparently handed a car key to a lady in the front row who'd won a Slim Jim competition to win a brand new card that Slim Jim was promoting, and even before the match there was a promotion with LA Knight where it said "bite into a Slim Jim" while there was archive footage of Randy Savage doing it, because I think really like LA Knight is WWE's new representative for Slim Jim, like much like Randy Savage was all those years ago. It was. But yeah, like I said, which is good for him, you know, and so yeah, so LA Knight won this match, and he's got a lot of recognition along with Slim Jim and everything else involved as well. Right, up next was the United States Championship match between Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. And once again, Logan Paul's been his usual self. Like, he's been acting arrogant. He's saying, like, I'm this big star. Like, and he backs it up in the ring. Like, he is definitely talented. And when he came out to this match, he was actually in a 6-wheeler Prime van that he's got with a giant can of Prime on the bottle, and even the Prime mascot was there as well. It wasn't KSI this time; it was another of his YouTube friends that I'm not familiar with. But yeah, it probably wasn't as good as when he came down on a zip line or whatever you call it at last year's WrestleMania. But yeah, it's still. But still, he's still making entrances as big as his ego. And then as the match was starting, like, they had a similar thing with Kevin Owens. Like, he was making his way to the ring, and just before he got there was Sami Zayn in the gorilla position. Like, and he gave Kevin some encouragement, just much like Kevin did for him last night, and he said to him, "It's your turn now." Like, and then he came out, and he even had he even drove down to the ring in a golf cart, which is referencing something that happened on Friday Night SmackDown when he and Randy Orton were trying to chase after Logan Paul. And then Randy Orton came out, and Kevin Owens offered him a lift to the ring as well. And it's just really good to see Randy Orton back at WrestleMania as well, because, you know, he was out with what was potentially a career-ending back injury a couple of years ago. But yeah, so yeah, the match was going on, and for the most part, it was Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, like, really doing a number on Logan Paul. Like they were determined that he would not leave that match with the United States Championship. But then inevitably, when it came time to who should pin him, like they realized, oh wait, only one of us can do it. So yeah, they ended up going after each other, and as usual, brass knuckles with Logan Paul came into play. They managed to avoid it for a few times, but in the end, Logan Paul retained the United States Championship, which I've got to say I'm okay with, because you have to like balance things out at WrestleMania. Like there's going to be some good results that you're going to enjoy, but there's also going to be some not so good results to balance it out and everything. And considering like what I wanted to happen in the main event, like I was happy with some of these matches to have the bad guys going over, like even if there had been a good build for the faces to win and everything. Next up was the WWE Women's Championship match. This had Bayley taking on Io Sky, and there's not really much to say about this one. The whole story was like, Bayley had originally started Damage Control with Dakota Kai and Io Sky, but then later on, Asuka and Kairi Sane started to implement themselves into the group, and then Bayley became like sort of an afterthought. Originally she was the leader, but now she was starting to get brushed to the side, and they were saying like, Bayley, we've outgrown you. Like you may have started this group, but you used it because you were desperate. You wanted to take credit for everything we were accomplishing and everything. And Bayley, she has made some enemies. Did make some enemies over a time in Damage Control. Like she demonized herself from most of the women's locker room, and so she was pretty much going into this all by herself. And like I said, not much to say about the match itself, although there was one point where the old "Hey, hey, Bayley, ooh, ah, I wanna know if you'll be my girl," all that was going on, and so like that's something that's actually something that happens a lot, I think, over in the UK, that we actually do that. Whenever Bayley's around, we actually do sing that in the crowd, because it just works so well with that song. But yeah, in the end, Bayley did manage to get the win, and she is the new women's WWE Women's Champion. Anyway, now we get to the main event, and it's time that I tell you just how much this moment really meant to me. So, ever since Cody Rhodes came back to WWE, he's been on this journey, this mission to win the Universal Championship. Because the night he returned after WrestleMania 38, he was on Raw, and he was telling us his story about how his dad had never officially won the WWE Championship, and so he was determined to one day get to WWE himself, win the World Championship, and then hand it to his father, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and tell him, "There's your title, Dad. No one can take it from you now." But ultimately, Cody's dad, Dusty, did pass away, and that dream died. And, there was so much more behind it as well, because, when Cody was originally in WWE, before he left, he was playing the Stardust gimmick, which was basically a carbon copy of what his older brother Dustin was doing with Gold Dust, and he just wasn't able to escape the whole Stardust gimmick. Like, he wanted to end it, but management wouldn't let him, and so eventually he knew that if the only way he was going to be seen as anything better than what he was, he had to leave. and he went to the independent circuit. He started AEW. He became a great star in AEW, and then he comes back, and he has that incredible 3-match series with Seth Rollins, where ultimately he had to go away for a while because of the torn pectoral muscle that he suffered. I mean, even to this day, the fact that he was able to compete in that Hell in a Cell match and still pull off the win is still absolutely incredible. And, you know, even back then, fans were behind him. He came back, he won the Royal Rumble. There was this incredible build to it. Like Cody, like I said, everyone was so sure that he would finish the story and do his father proud. And then in that one moment, like there was that one moment where you thought it was going to happen, and then it didn't. It was completely ripped away from him. Yeah, and I mean, you see in the introduction just how much that disappointed me, and how much it disappointed so many other people. Like it just didn't make sense. It felt like the perfect time in order to do it. Triple H's justification for it was that Cody Rhodes' story was still continuing, and it would be finished at some point. Like I had no idea like how it was going to resolve. Like, because like how can you possibly not have ended the story there when it was the perfect time to do it? In hindsight, though, with what happened on this night, it may have been a good decision, like, to do what they did last year, because this was just an incredible moment. And like I said, the build up was still incredible. Like, Cody Rhodes actually had the chance to show us what he could do throughout a whole calendar year. Like, he had that series with Brock Lesnar, and those other feuds with I think Shinsuke Nakamura as well, and then this January he did what many considered was impossible. He won back-to-back Royal Rumble matches. He is the first guy to do it in decades. It's only been Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and Steve Austin who have won back-to-back Royal Rumble matches, and he managed to do it. And so there was even more determination behind him this year. Like, he had this, I mean, he thought, you know, his opportunity was gone after WrestleMania 39, but by a sheer miracle, he had earned a second chance. Here's the thing, from what we understand, originally, it was going to happen where Cody Rhodes was going to give up his WrestleMania opportunity and give it to The Rock. That was the original plan that they had. But as soon as fans realised what was happening, they called BS straight away. And, like, don't get me wrong, like, WWE fans have been clamouring for Rock versus Roman Reigns. Like, they have wanted that match. But they felt like this wasn't the time for it. There was a bigger story going on right now. There was no way that Cody Rhodes could not finish his story. And so they were chanting, "We want Cody, Rocky sucks." And so eventually, you know, WWE had to listen. Cody Rhodes exercised his right as the Royal Rumble winner to say, like, he was challenging Roman Reigns. And, you know, the build, like I say, the build-up has been incredible. Like, he had the support of Seth Rollins, who was just as determined to see Roman lose the championship as he was. That's why he teamed up with him in the tag team match. And The Rock has been there, adding so much more pressure, because, like, the bloodline group became stronger than ever with him at the center of it. And so, and like I said, in the tag team match, it became bloodline rules, and so there was a lot more. And so there was a lot more at stake. There was so much more. There was just so much more that was going into it. And so it began, and so Cody came out with his wife Brandy. Roman Reigns had this big entrance, and the match was just, it was basically like a standard match to begin with, and they were fighting everywhere. They were fighting in the crowd, and then it got to the finishing sequence where I've got to say, what happened was absolutely stunning. Like, first off, it was Jimmy Uso coming in and super kicking Cody Rhodes in keeping with the whole bloodline rules thing, and then which then prompted Jey Uso to come out, attack Jimmy, and then he speared him off the stage through some tables, and so Jimmy was taken out of the picture. Then Solo Sikoa, the guy who arguably caused Cody Rhodes to lose the WWE Championship, prevent Cody from winning the WWE Championship last year. He came in and he did much of the same thing. Like, there were 2 times where it looked like Cody Rhodes was beaten, but both times he kicked out, all determined not to lose. And then, just as they were going for another beatdown, John Cena's music hit, and like there were some people who suspected that the potential that he was there. Like, nothing had been promoted, like he hadn't made any appearances, but yeah, he came down to the ring and he started laying it down on Solo Sikoa, which, if you remember, Solo was the last person to face John Cena in a match and managed to defeat him. So there was the continuation of that story as well. Like, John Cena managed to get him up and he gave him an attitude adjustment through the announce table. And then, just as he did that, The Rock came out, and then Rock and John Cena came face to face, which, if you remember that incredible feud that they had at WrestleMania 28 and 29, like, there was just so much history that was happening in this sequence. Rock laid a smackdown on John Cena and took him out of the picture, and it looked like he was gonna take out Cody Rhodes as well. And there were some people who thought it was going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin who came out next, because especially with all the history that they've had, it was not Steve Austin. Like, maybe he wasn't available, but who did return? The Undertaker, the man who has had an incredible legacy at WrestleMania and who was at the Hall of Fame a few nights before. He was there. He grabbed The Rock and he chokeslammed him, and then it was all completely clear. Roman went for a spear, but Cody kneed him. He gave him 3 crossroads, and finally the ref went 1. The ref went 2. The ref went 3. Cody Rhodes had won the WWE Universal Championship at WrestleMania. He had finally finished the story. He had finally done what he promised he would do. And I was just overjoyed that WWE had made the right decision. And it was an incredible moment, and all these superstars came out and celebrated with him as well. There was, like I say, there was John Cena, there was Jey Uso, there was LA Knight, there was Kevin Owens. Like, all these people who have had trouble with the bloodline at some point in their careers, they all came out. They lifted Cody Rhodes up, and he was celebrating. And then Cody's wife Brandy was there. His mum actually came in from the audience, and he actually handed the championship to her. Like, even though he couldn't physically hand it to his dad, he gave it to his mother, and he handed it to his dad in spirit. Like, and it was just such an emotional moment to see Cody Rhodes finally have that championship that no one in his family had ever won. Not his dad, not his brother. He did the Rhodes family proud. And Roman Reigns historic reign of terror is now over. It literally, there was no one else, no place, no time that this could ever have happened other than WrestleMania 40, other than the main event. It was just the perfect decision. And with everything that happened at last year's WrestleMania, at WrestleMania 39, it just made this moment all the more sweeter, all the more satisfying. And then Bruce Pritchard was asked to come out. Cody got on the mic. He asked Bruce Pritchard and Triple H to come out, and he hugged them and he shook hands with them, and they were just congratulating him. And there was even one point where Cody went to Michael Cole because Cole's been following him throughout his entire career, and like I said, it was just one of the most satisfying moments that there ever was. I think if he'd won last year, it would have been good, but this made it great. Like, last year, I almost lost faith in WWE for their decision. That faith has been completely restored. This is, without question, a brand new era in WWE. If it wasn't for if the logo didn't make that clear, if the whole fact that Triple H is in charge of creative didn't make that clear, this moment with Cody Rhodes made that clear. It is a whole new beginning for WWE, and I could not be more excited about being a WWE fan right now. So, yeah, that concludes my hour-long review of WrestleMania 40. I know I have been rambling. I know I've been losing my words. I know it's just me sitting here talking for over an hour, but I just really had to share this with you guys. I really had to let you know just how incredible this show was and how mind-blowingly amazing that the main event of night 2 was. This was one of the best WrestleManias that I have ever seen, and I am so glad that I had the chance to watch it live. It was absolutely incredible. So, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video that I do. So until next time, stay tuned.